So the next session is about influencer marketing, and Andrey Cherednychenko will be covering this topic today. So welcome, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So, before the presentation starts, I don't see it. Let's try to set up it. Raise your hand who have ever played a computer game in your life. Like, I raised two. Yeah, you're right. So, today I will tell you and show the presentation which will definitely change your life. Why? I will talk about three main things. First one, about the market, how the market grew, what are the numbers of it. I will tell you briefly about our company and how we've managed to grow nearly 1 million users in less than a year. And the main topic is influencer marketing, and that's what I think you're looking for. I will share with you the real numbers, not just some inspiration, but the real cases, how we do it, and some real practical examples with the таблички. Таблички could be translated as Google Sheets, but they could not be. It's a special magic part which I will show you. So, a little bit about me. I've started my career in digital agencies, then worked in big company, but my real passion is gaming. That's why I transferred to the gaming market and worked in the biggest and one of the most famous teams with Ukrainian roots. It's called Navi. They won international, the first biggest tournament in esports, and now we're working on a dream team, the esports infrastructure project. So gaming market is pretty big. 1/3 of world population is playing computer games. And that's basically everything you need to know. The revenue is growing. It will surpass the sports in a couple of years. So that's the biggest market. But what is an esports? This is an esports. But the case is that this is an esports 20 years ago. This is the esports right now. This is a Staples Center in Los Angeles, and it's the finals of League of Legends tournament, basically, and it's only 0.1% of the people who are viewing this tournament, because esports is whenever gaming and sports are crossed. When they cross and there's competitive gaming, that's an esports. It's $1 billion market with 500,000 of people, and despite of all of this growth, there are some real problems on the market. The first one is insecurity and fraud. For example, recently on one tournament, one energy drink sponsored one team, but they drank completely opposite drink, like Monster. It was a Monster, and they drank Red Bull because Red Bull is tastier. So you're not secured. Secondly, there are not a lot of business tools. For example, who from like this audience and in general knows to how build up your esports team? No one knows because the market is very new. There is no business tools. Second one, market is very fragmented. So to search for the people who you're looking for, you need to go to some conferences, dig into LinkedIn, and it's very complicated. That's why we made a Dream Team. Dream Team is an ultimate in building and skill growing platform. We're solving the problems of gamers in 4 main topics. First one, we're building a kind of LinkedIn for gamers. So it's like their profiles and their games. Teams can find players, players can find teams. Then they improve themselves. They see the detailed statistics of the game. How can they improve themselves? They can manage their team plan, their tournament schedule, and in the end of the day, we plan to make a marketplace where the teams can find sponsors, and the sponsors can find teams and tournaments. A little bit of traction, and we're heading to our user acquisition. We've raised 10 million during the ICO, and now 5 million in seed round. We have nearly 1 million users. The biggest challenge for us was that, as we are like originally a Ukrainian company, to grow the users around the world. The gaming helped us, as it's very worldwide, but it was our challenge. So we have around 50% from Europe and a lot of people from North America, in addition to CIS. Half of all the paid traffic is influencer marketing. But that's our real split about marketing mix. Never forget about the direct CPC instruments. We call them CPC. Everything is included which can be directly measured, including the Google search, GDN ads, Facebook. You know all of it, but it works really well for us because we have like deep targeting systems which we can evaluate. Also, we have sponsorships like big esports teams and big tournaments. But what we're gonna talk today is YouTube and Twitch. Twitch is a streaming platform, is the biggest platform for gaming, and but we had much more traction from the YouTube, so that's why I'll focus on it. Step 0, I call it step 0 because it's very obvious, but you can never forget about this. You should know your audience, and you should understand how and what content do they consume. For us, it was pretty simple because we are competitive gaming company, so our competitive gamers who play not just for fun, not novices, but who want to improve their play. That's why we've been placing ads on such content as tips and tricks or highlights from the tournaments. So a little bit of advanced action. And least effective are some funny videos with fails or chill out streams. So you have to think about like your audience and what other content they are consuming. And that's like the basic step for you to be successful. Second step, yeah, here we go. That's the first step. You make an evaluation of potential influencers you might work with. So this is a very basic level, like you evaluate their channels, how many subscriptions they have, how many views they have, what language, and basically what's the status of the connection of it. I'll give you a little bit like ahead of the presentation. We are not working with any agency at all. We're doing all of our influencer marketing ourselves. By a small team. Why? Because it's like 100% more efficient. We have tried it, and that's how you control each and every of your placement. But for the growth, you need to have a lot of connections. Don't focus on like some guys. Contact a lot of them, and that's how you get an efficiency. Step 2, I will share all of this data with you, like if you want. On a second step, you make a second level of integration of like how deep you go in terms of evaluating each influencer. So you evaluate number of views each viewer has, the language and the region. For us, the region is very important. For example, the guys from the Brazil cannot cost the same amount from the US, but when we evaluate them and see that they have a different prices or the same price, we can make an assumption that someone will work better or work worse. So then you evaluate the cost per one placement. A little bit further, this is our metrics. What we do, we are a SAS platform, and our main KPI are the registrations and the completed profile. So on a basic level, we forecast how many registrations we will have from each people, and how many, like in general, will be efficiency of this player. Then we have like evaluate the type of integration. Is it review? Review is when the streamer or YouTuber completely reviews your product, like showing the showcase, if it's the headphones or some monitor. In our case, they go to the platform, form up the team, and play with the subscribers. Pre-roll is just a simple pre-roll, but it is placed inside of the videos, basically, so inside of the content, and it's 10 times more efficient than your average Google Ads, which you run through the Google Ads, because it's non-skippable, and it's always, of course, it's ad block free. Step number 3, you need to make a bargain. Basically, when you're contacting people, you're selling your product to them in order to get some content. So you have to make the pitch perfect and believe in it. I recommend to read some Oren Klaff ideas how to do so. And the key thing, if it doesn't go your way, and go. Just go and forget about it. you will catch your audience later. That's why it was very important on the first step to make a big database, but believe in your product and you will have a good prices. In our example, we had the case that some people at the beginning they gave us like really high cost, but in a couple of months when we worked with smaller groups of influencers, we get back to them and say, oh yeah, sure, your service is great, we can see it. This is an example of streamers. As you can see, it's a very different audience with whom we can work. Some of them are mature, some of them are unknown. We don't know who he is. Some of them are like very strange, and that's why I believe that it's your responsibility to take an action. You have to be specific in what you want in your videos and in how it will be executed. So basically, if you just like send them the link, okay, place it anywhere where you want in the video, here's our product, it will not be very successful. It's your responsibility to take care of every placement and to hit the influencer so he gets the content right. And second of our example of like how we work, no link, no placement, because without link, of course, you cannot evaluate or measure this placement. And also we're like helping them not to forget anything. We're having such guides where we tell about the product, how you can communicate with it. But we always leave a space for the influencer to like expand how can they show up their product and how they see the fit in their content, because we are not an experts, we don't know their audience, and you have to push on deliverables that your product will be shown in a like positive way and all links will be included, but always leave a space for your integration to be successful. I would like to request to show up the Excel sheet because it's a little bit complicated, but it's very interesting. Sorry for a little bit boring content, but maybe you can use it in future for your placements. I have actually never seen such of the things. We have searched for different like CRM systems where we can make it, but there is none of them. That's why we've made everything manually. So after you placed all your flight, we split our placements by flight. You can evaluate what was the efficiency of each flight by like having some basic metrics like registrations, cost per registrations, average conversion from views to registrations, and in general your effectiveness about it. Let's go a little bit higher. So we track when it was placed, how many views we got compared to the plan. Was it better? Was it worse? What the conversion rate that we have forecasted? What is the conversion rate actual on our platform? And all of other stuff like registrations. Why we are doing this? Because you have to evaluate what you're doing. A lot of people, when I ask them how you do influencer marketing, they say, oh, okay, we have placed this post with our mobile phone, and we don't know. Actually, we don't know how it affected, because, of course, we have a link, but we're not digging deep. In Dream Team, we're digging like on a fourth level of deepness to understand the efficiency of each influencer, and I recommend you to do the same, because that's your money, that's your product, and mainly your marketeers, you need to do so. Later, based on this information, we can see why and which influencer was better successful. For example, number 3 got less views, but his conversion rate was like on an average amount. Maybe this placement was not so successful because of the views that he got on his video. Now you can ask him to make another video or just not to work with him. That's an option for you. On the first one, that's very obvious. We can see that both the views and the registrations, the conversion rate was great. That's the content for you. That means you're perfectly fit into this content, and you can expand your placement there. Can you please a little bit scroll down to the right? So basically, we track everything: the conversion rate to the profiles, to complete the profiles on a platform, how money we spent, and that's the most hateful part for marketeers, for marketing guys. Some invoices and when it was paid, was it placed, but it's the really great info for your finance team. Basically, in one place, you can track all the payments and all the scores, so it's very comfortable for you to work. Can you please go back to my presentation? Yeah. We have evaluated it by the link, but we're really missing something. Why? Because we act as humans, not as robots. We do as we are comfortable to do. We don't act like marketing people want us to make. That's why, just from one video, we can have a different sources. So first one, it's the best user, the most advanced one, who clicks the link under the description. But there are lots of other users. First one, type dreamteam.gg in the address bar. So we will get this user by the direct traffic in our Google Analytics. It's also a user who have come from this video, but it's not evaluated due to the fact that he used another link. The third one, they can type in Google Dream Team or Dream Team GG without a dot, and he will enter as a SEO. So basically, he came from search or from the CPC advertisement, because we also place search ads. So how you can evaluate this kind of stuff? That was the biggest question for me, because link is fine. That's this very strange graph, yeah. But if we look at the details, the red one is the traffic generated from the YouTube placements. The purple one are Twitch placements, and all other are SEO, direct, and CPC traffic. To summarize, we can see the direct impact of every and each video, like mostly, to the amount of traffic generated by other channels, by other resources. And we have calculated all of these assumptions and how it is all effective, and we can see that for every placement, for one tracked registrations, we have 2 real users from the influencer placement. That's the mathematics for us. For your product, for your company, you have to measure it yourself. But that's the case for us. Also, in addition to evaluation by flights, which I have already shown you, we've got a monthly analytics. The cost numbers are as an example. But the pie charts, those are real. We track like what guys were the most successful for us, and what countries from what countries they brought the users are, and later we can see if it's cost efficient for us or not. Because, for example, Brazil, do they pay much? Don't think so. United States, much better, as it like higher paying, higher ARPU audience. So that's an example of how can you evaluate them. One question when I was launching all of this stuff for me was that sometimes you have an option to place on a smaller ones or on a bigger ones who have a lot of subscribers, who have like their most famous one, but they cost hell of a money. So the answer is, which is more effective? The answer is that when you place on the bigger influencers, you get more traction, but it's also more expensive. And when you place on a like less popular, but you work with them very carefully, you got the same amount of registrations for a less of money. The case thing here, as the summary, you can take the smaller ones if you're more oriented on budget saving, but when you need a lot of in quantity, you go to the big ones. So if we compare the influencer advertisement to all of the other channels, I can say that like every $1 spent for us in CPC advertisement costs 1.4 or $3, so it's like 3 times more effective. In terms of non-standard media like branding campaigns or some special integrations on the websites, it's like 5 times more efficient. And in terms of sponsorships, it's even higher, 10 times more efficient. So you can ask me, okay, if the influencer marketing is so great, why are you not having only influencer marketing to market your platform and shut down completely all of your other marketing channels? The answer is scalability. It's not an instrument which could be scaled quite easily. So you always have to find new influencers. You have to always find new people who you're working with, and sometimes they give you unreasonably high costs. So we are very picky on with whom we're working on to keep up the level of this efficiency, or it might go even higher. So you have to add other instruments in addition to your influencer marketing to grow pretty fast, but in general it's one of the most cheapest one. That's the stuff. We have never worked with any agency, and I have only the team of 4 people. They work all out of office, and I even don't know how one looks because I don't care. He works with some guys. He provides me some efficiency. Why should I even care? And that's how it works. You don't need a lot of people. Like you don't have to tell it. Okay, to set up all of this stuff. For example, in our one game database, we have around 1,000 YouTubers, and these are the guys who've been working on all this. You don't need to have a lot of people. Just be like precise, particular on what you're doing. Be mindful of like the evaluation of what they're doing, and you'll be good. There's always a place for improvement, so I will share with you some thoughts how you can improve it even more. So the next step is to integrate the placements even deeper. For example, right now we're placing pre-rolls or reviews of the platform. We want to involve influencer into like opinion leader program where they will play on a platform with their subscribers, where they will constantly create teams and join some events. So you always can drill down to see the opportunities, how you can integrate your product better. Second one, from our experience, we have like made a test of this. We've invited one guy to our corporate event. It was very successful. He like dropped the prices for us. His feedback was very amazing. Like, guys, I thought like I didn't like understand that you're such a great company. So our next step is to build up some party. Not for the biggest influencers, but for the most vital for us, who gives us the most traction. Because the biggest one are always busy, they don't want to go anywhere. So I advise you to work with the grassroots of your audience and have some personal communication with them. Third one is the localization of the content. That's one of the biggest challenge for marketing in general on the Dream Team, and also we plan to localize all of these reviews and pre-rolls for our different markets. At the end of the day, we're planning to launch a monetization and to track in that perfect tablichka the efficiency of each placement money-wise. There's some bugs. Like in game, some things happen in our marketing life, and I want to share a couple of things with you which didn't work. I have tried to find I saw this quote from one famous guy, but I haven't found it on Google, so I think that's pretty fine. We have placed the YouTube and Twitch pre-rolls through the official suppliers, like we've got to the guys. and they gave us an access to their cabinet. But even with the precise targeting, we had a very high CPR of $150. Secondly, we've had some successful campaigns with the esports media. But when we went to the gaming media in general, like IGN, who are not focused mainly on esports, we had a significant drop of efficiency. So that's again that talks about your audience. You have to feel where are they reading the content, where are they consuming the content, and it didn't work for us as well. Third one, I have a lot of requests from some strange Facebook or Telegram groups. Okay, we have 1,000 people and we can promote your platform in the best way. It also didn't work because it's fine, but it doesn't bring you so much conversions as influencer marketing or precise marketing. And also creative campaigns with online tournaments are a little bit tricky for us. We get some traction, but of course it's not such a big as any other. The worst thing that didn't work, we have worked with the guys who have an email database of the guys who bought the game, and that didn't work at all. Anything doesn't work. Okay, nearly the last slide from my side, and it will be the only philosophical slide in my presentation. I encourage you to be conscious on what you're doing. There's always different challenges in your life, a lot of different options where you can go. But if you dive deep into what you're doing, if you evaluate precisely each placement, each of your action, you will be successful, and that's how we've managed to build up our brand. Thank you for attention. That's it from my side.
Thank you.
Maybe you would like to share your experience with the influencers or any questions?
I think a special thank you goes for Tablichkas, and if you don't mind, those will be shared with the audience.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Because it's a working framework. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Who's going to be the first?
Tell me, please, about multi-channel sequences. About how YouTube channel influence on other channels, and how do you count it? Because from your image, for example, I don't understand.
To answer you, like in the numbers,
yes,
for one user,
yeah,
who registered directly from the link, you got one additional user from the other organic channels. So in total of 2 users. That's the basic math. So one is tracked, one is non-tracked.
I mean, you spend some amount of money on, I don't know, on one YouTuber, yep?
Yeah.
And how do you count in multi-channel sequences the value of this buying?
So basically, you cannot evaluate it directly. There is absolutely no way to do it, as I think right now. You can only track the placement efficiency with the link that you have placed. With the Twitch streamers, for example, we use a personalized link like dt.gg/nothing. That's a streamer name.
But it's impossible to do for every user.
Yes, that's why we track during that day or during that week when we have some placements. We track how did it affect other channels, and then in the end of the month we also review of all of our assumptions, and we can predict the impact of the influencer marketing on non-direct channels.
as I understand, it looks like, oh guys, we spent money and we want to show you your money, and we want to show you, yeah, it was more effective that you can see by metrics, by money, like, oh, we can show you by charts, but truly, I don't know how we can use it above charts, like.
You have to understand why it's important to do so. Like in my world, maybe for you it's not important for your product. For us, it's important because when you count only the direct impact, the direct registrations from each placement, you've got like, for example, 100 users, right? And it's much more cost effective to buy these 100 users from the CPC ads, for example, right? But so I am as a like business owner, they'll go, what is it? Like, go to hell with your influencer marketing. I don't need it. I don't care about your brand awareness. I don't care about anything. Just like give me the numbers. But when you cancel all your instruments, all your brand awareness instruments, including the influencer marketing, you can see that your CPC ads will cost you like 3-4 times more, because that placement generated for you an additional traffic for your platform. That's why it's important to evaluate it. If you cancel and don't do any influencer marketing, your costs for user acquisition in other channels will go higher. Why? Because of which I have shown you. Because of the channel's dependency.
All right.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Igor. I'm working with St. Paul's. We're an email marketing company, and we're in B2B business. How do you think influencer marketing can work for B2B companies? Thank you.
Influencer marketing for B2B companies, you need to think about it. If there is some opinion leader who you will find, and you are sure he's famous, yeah, and some people, for example, we had an experience in crypto market on the blockchain. You don't know, is it a B2C market, is it a B2B market, you don't know, yeah? But like I know like one guy from Latin America, and I know that couple of people who are investing in different cryptocurrencies, they watch him, yeah, so we've made a placement, and it like had some good traction for our ICO, right? So we don't know if it was B2C or B2B, but we knew that this influencer was popular upon our audience who was interested in our product, not in product, but on the investment side of the product. That's why we had a placement for it. If you think that you have to dig in, watch and talk, and maybe you can find the one.
Yep, next one.
Hello, thank you
Hi.
for the presentation.
Thanks.
I have a question related for the first one, actually. You said a lot about the cost efficiency of your campaigns, so actually media indexes, yeah? Cost per registration is the main index you are aiming to improve. So you have different channels, users acquisition channels, and some of them are more expensive than influencers. So how do you track those values of those users, I mean, in terms of long-term business? Because sometimes you can spend more money in channel, but that users will be more efficient in terms of business, so you will have them for 3 months active, for example. But some channels will not work good in this. So how do you track those? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question, but the answer is pretty simple. We track, as we track the influencer marketing, we track all of our other instruments, and we are launching a monetization in November, and we will track how much money ROI-wise we have spent for the placement and how much money we have earned for that guys who came for this placement. Yeah, so it will be a money-wise evaluation, and in terms of like the lengths, we have a retention metrics where we track retention in general and retention by each channel. So was it like emails, was it some influencer, was it some advertisement, and we track it in separate reports. And that's it, but I totally agree with you. And just a little bit to add, we think that still for us, YouTube will be the best in terms of conversions because it's our audience. Like we know it. We know it's our audience, but the biggest threat is scalability.
Okay, we have two more over there. Yep.
Hello, thank
Hi.
you for your presentation, and I have three short questions. First is about payment. How usually you pay to influencer? You make prepayment, you pay after integration, or some prepayment? Next one, how you work with this price? Like, okay, we will pay you 10Ks, but if you will achieve our planned goals, we will pay you some bonuses, like in terms of registration or views. And usually you work with one-time integration, or you work with like some storytelling when influencer shows this, your platforms and, oh, okay, this is cool platform, and sort of integration, like I imagine this awesome platform for everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, clear. So first question, payments. That's actually good questions. I had a small tip right there, but didn't read it. That's a complicated question because in our case, the audience of influencers, they are pretty young, and they do not know a lot about bankings, about accounts, about how to manage their company, and that's why it's really complicated to even have an invoice sometimes. So at the beginning, we have paid them with PayPal. That's the most popular type of payment, and when you enter this market, you have to be prepared to make such placements if you need very effective placements. The cheapest one was also, they are small, but we had a lot of them. But when we're switching to US company, it's becoming more complicated because we have to report about all of our marketing activities. And the worst case is PayPal. The second case in invoice. In invoice, you can include like what works was done, and you can report to some legal stuff that this was done. You're not sending money to the terrorists. And the third, the best case, we do it with the biggest influencers who are the most expensive ones. We make a contract. Yeah, so that's about the payment. The second one was about, I'm sorry.
It's about, for example, you agreed with some fixed price, or usually agreed with fixed price plus bonus.
Yeah, thanks. So when your product is new and you just enter the market, the price is always fixed, and usually the prepayment is 100%. It's a little bit strange in the business world, but still, even if you lose some money, if you lose part of this money because the guys will disappear in some kind of way, it is still more effective than placing official ads. So that's why that's a game where you either accept the rules or not, and don't work with them. So yeah, at the beginning we have paid in advance to prove that we are the company, we are not a scam. Especially with the ICO marker, yeah, there's lots of like fuzz around of this. But when we build up the relationships, we can set up now performance-based campaigns, pay the streamer per like completed registration, and for the real users, like we have a system how we work with CPA networks, how we evaluate it. So right now there are different options. We can have a 50% prepayment or even the performance-based contract. And the third one about...
Or storytelling, what you use usually?
And quantity, okay. We mix. We mix different types of advertisement. When we buy pre-rolls, we usually buy a bulk order of them, for example, 5, 10, or even 20, depending on the price. When we make an integration, usually we make one, then see how it works, and if it works well, we prolong it. Usually we prolong it not right after the first placement, because like he has a video, he have already told the people about the product, and like we make it a little bit later, in 2 or 3 months, when he has like new audience and we know that he works well, and that's when we have a placement with him.
Okay, so why don't we take all the next questions to the networking area? And thank you very much for a very insightful presentation.